a very strong collaboration with biomedical scientists in other places, other organizations, and industry leaders across Africa. So in this particular case, I did manage to get Professor Gordon Awandari because he's online. I did manage to get an example of the worst and the best that happened to the center, but he will not go away with it because I'm going to ask him before he starts to share with us what was the worst and the best moment in the life of your center, and then you have your 8 minutes to present to the presentation. Thank you, Professor.
All right, thank you very much. I hope you can hear me.
Better now?
Okay, so thank you, and I'm sorry that I'm not able to be there with you to have the fun and enjoy the meeting. So first, the West Day, for us, we live on grants. So the West Day was a day that we were trying to submit a grant for about $24 million to USAID, and the University Grants Office refused to submit it because of certain administrative issues. So that was one of our worst days. We were so upset. Best days was last year, actually early this year, when we graduated nearly 40 students at once. This was partly because of COVID. There was a backlog of students to graduate, but on one day we graduated nearly 40 masters and PhD students. So that was a very happy day in WACBIP indeed. So those are a few of the highs and lows of WACBIP. So I was asked to talk about leadership and succession planning. So I just put a few slides together to introduce a discussion, and I hope that we'll have more time to ask questions and share experiences. So I hope you can see my slides. So WACBIP was one of the first centers to be selected. So we're part of ACE1, and we basically started from scratch from ACE1. And even though we had other grants to do research before, the $8 million that we got from the ACE project was what we used to start WACBIP as a center. And because we're talking about sustainability, we want to note that from the $8 million, we've grown that funding portfolio to $52 million as of today. And that gives us funding up to 2027. So we have $52 million that has been spent or yet to be spent from 2014, taking us to 2027. This is mostly grants that we have led or we have initiated, competitive grants that we've won. So you see the breakdown in the grants that we have led, and then others that we have benefited from being collaborators on other people's grants. So over 75% are from our initiative. And I'm saying this because for us, leadership and sustainability is about the ability to attract grants. And I think one of my colleagues said earlier that the only way you can be sustainable is to produce results. And in this case, excellence in research, excellence in training is the only way to be sustainable. And we think that sustainability is critically linked with leadership. And for us, we think that the ACE model works best when the center is run with the academic focus as the substance, but with a business character, a lens of a business lens through all the activities of the center. So in that case, you need leadership that has three critical components, which is the technical leadership, that's academic or scientific leadership. You need entrepreneurship ability, and then you need a vision. You need to know where you want to take the center, which means you have to be exposed enough to know how a center of excellence should look like, so that you can move your center towards that. And so we take leadership development very seriously at WACBIP. And indeed, now, as part of our mission, we say that we want to develop homegrown, globally competitive African science leaders. So we're not just producing scientists, but we want to produce science leaders. So because of that, our training model is to provide a full pipeline for training. So we take people who can be as young as just finishing undergrad, and take them through the different layers of leadership or ladders of leadership, all the way to become new PIs leading their own research groups as senior research fellows. Now, this pyramid shows how people can progress through the different layers, but it also means that people can join at different levels of this pyramid. And we've had that happen a lot. We have people joining as PhD students or as early postdocs, or even as senior research people. But what we have done is to create an environment that promotes leadership development by building research experience, by allowing people to get mentorship training, because we allow research fellows to supervise postdocs and PhDs. Early postdocs can supervise master's students and co-supervise PhD students. PhD students can co-supervise master's students, and so on and so forth. So people learn how to lead in all aspects of their endeavor. We also teach how to be resilient. Doing science and being successful in Africa takes a different set of skills from what you need to be successful in the developed world, which means that you need a certain level of resilience, you need a certain level of innovation in how to get things done. And we train students to do that. And finally, to be globally competitive, you need to be on top of your science, and you also need to be able to sell your science and make yourself competitive for grants and to get high quality publications. A few examples of how our leadership pipeline has proven to be successful. We all know about the COVID pandemic and what WACBIP did in that regards. What people do not know is that a lot of what we did at WACBIP was led by some of our emerging leaders. I wasn't the one leading everything, even though I was better known and I was communicating a lot on behalf of the center. A lot of the heavy lifting was done by two of our emerging leaders, Peter Kwashi and Yao Bediako, who many of you know. These people, early on in the pandemic, took the mantle to lead the center to make a contribution to the response to the pandemic through testing initially, and then various research initiatives. They also took leadership in helping me to write grants to mobilize more than $7 million over the period for COVID research. They led most of the research operations, both in the field and in the lab. This community is also familiar with Yao's initiative to set up a biotech, a biotech company. One of the challenges of WACBIP has been finding biotech companies to partner with and to provide opportunities for internship for our students. And so one of our strategies is to take that into our hands and to encourage entrepreneurship from our center. And Yao has taken the lead on that and made the bold step to establish Yamachi as a young biotech company in Ghana, which is now doing well and starting to thrive. And this is part of our strategy of leadership, both scientific and, in this case, in entrepreneurship. We also have an internal system for, succession planning. The center, we have various units, and we have emerging young leaders leading those units. And so in the last few years, we've taken the step to appoint 2 deputy directors for the center, one in charge of administration, another in charge of research. And this provides a pipeline for producing the next director of the center. So all the unit heads can aspire to become deputy directors and then to become directors one day. And this gives us an opportunity to give many more people an opportunity to lead. It also gives us an opportunity to, exercise our quality of equity and diversity. So we strive to have, gender balance in our leadership. So you see, you have a deputy director who's a woman and a deputy director who's a man. And this model, we believe, is very useful in grooming the next set of leaders who can take over the center. Challenges, yeah, just yes.
Sorry, can you conclude in 1 minute? Thank you.
Yes, sure. So 2 main challenges that I'll mention. Keeping talented people is difficult because being a university, which is a public institution, the salary conditions are not very attractive, as we all know. In addition, because we do basic science, there's a shortage of female leaders in basic science. And this is across the continent, not just in WAGBIP or Ghana. And so these are 2 challenges that we face in developing our leadership pipeline. So just quickly, to deal with the issue about working conditions, what we've done is to empower every research fellow at WAGBIP, every faculty, to try to get a grant. So in fact, all the primary faculty at WAGBIP, they have grants. So this allows them to have their own research funds and to have a salary top-up that allows them to live, a meaningful life. We're also empowering our female scientists. We try to intentionally give opportunities to female scientists to lead and to include them in all leadership operations. And we are hoping that this, in the next few years, will produce probably a female director of WAGBIP or some other center. Thank you very much.
I don't know if you can hear the applause, but I was flying away with your presentation because it was really wonderful. There is something the words in my mind was, there is a saying that good leaders attract leaders to work with them, but this is the next step. If good leaders produce new leaders to succeed them, so it's like so it's an impressive. The word scientific leaders is something that I will not forget. Thank you very much for your presentation. So we're going to the next speaker. And the next speaker is still under the head of leadership and succession planning. And is Professor Benjamin Yao. He's coordinator of ValoPro. He's in the National Polytechnic Institute of Felix Houphouet, Boigny in Ivory Coast. So it's a local center from Ivory Coast. And this center works in the valorization of waste into high value added products. So we're talking about circular economy. And of course, when you talk about circular economy, in the back of what we're talking, we have to talk about economics, but we are always talking about preserving the environment and more reducing greenhouse gases. The worst thing that happened to the center was when they first presented the results in the first regional workshop, so a long time ago, and the results were so weak that they were confused. Confused is a good word. they were confused, but then you can see they are here, so they recovered fast. And the best day was when they were notified that the excellency of the results made them eligible for an additional funding of 632,000 euros. So thank you. An applause, please.
Bonjour. Effectivement, nous sommes un nouveau centre, le centre Valopro. Et quand on m'a présenté le thème, j'ai dit, waouh, qu'est-ce que je vais dire? Je suis un nouveau centre, on me demande de parler de leadership et de succession. Ce n'était pas évident pour moi. Et puis après réflexion, je me suis dit, mais probablement on nous demande ici de voir comment à travers notre démarche managériale, on peut contribuer par notre action, par notre démarche à favoriser le renforcement de capacité des personnes qui travaillent avec nous, faire d'elles également des leaders. Comment, à travers notre démarche, nous pouvons susciter un mouvement d'ensemble autour de nous, autour donc du centre, de manière à ce que on puisse, n'est-ce pas, attirer l'ensemble du personnel de l'institution pour accompagner, intégrer les activités du centre. Voilà un peu comment est-ce que je comprends, n'est-ce pas, le thème qui nous a été présenté. Je voudrais dire que, en fait, le leader, c'est celui qui sait motiver, celui qui sait faire en sorte que les autres puissent être en mouvement. Et ça, c'est très important. Il y a quelques principes fondamentaux. Je retiens, il y a 5, mais le principe qui, effectivement, pour moi, est fondamental, c'est de rechercher à être soi-même ce qu'on veut que les autres soient. Et ça, pour moi, c'est fondamental. Et la démarche que nous avons doit pouvoir s'appuyer sur cela. Slide suivant. Alors, effectivement, en nous appuyant donc sur ce concept, dans notre démarche, nous mettons l'accent en fait sur la nécessité de laisser chaque acteur jouer son rôle. Si nous voulons, par exemple, former un docteur, nous pouvons l'accompagner, nous pouvons lui donner des conseils, mais nous ne devons pas être au labo en train de manipuler à sa place. Parce que, in fine, ce que vous allez former, c'est un technicien et non pas un chercheur capable de demain de venir vous remplacer. Et c'est un peu la démarche que nous avons au niveau du centre, c'est de faire en sorte que chaque acteur puisse jouer son rôle. Et ce que nous attendons, in fine, c'est que cet acteur-là puisse rendre compte et qu'il puisse être évalué par l'ensemble des membres de l'équipe projet. Nous mettons aussi l'accent donc sur l'évaluation à travers les rencontres au niveau non seulement de l'unité de coordination du projet, mais aussi à travers toute l'équipe projet, puisque dans notre équipe projet, nous avons l'unité de coordination qui travaille tous les jours à faire avancer les activités du projet, mais aussi nous avons du personnel de l'INPHB. Je prends l'exemple de notre indicateur 5.3. C'est un indicateur qui est intéressant dans le sens où il nous permet de mettre en synergie l'ensemble du personnel de notre institution et avec le personnel clé qui est dédié au projet. Et donc, dans cette démarche, nous contribuons à faire acquérir aux uns et aux autres de la compétence. Par exemple, nous prévoyons des formations. Comment est-ce qu'on va former le personnel financier de notre institution à l'utilisation des logiciels métiers, à l'utilisation des logiciels de gestion de projets bailleurs. Nous avons du personnel à l'INPHB qui travaille sur des logiciels qui sont propres à l'État de Côte d'Ivoire, mais quand il s'agit de projets bailleurs, c'est toute une autre démarche. Et par exemple, nous nous avons prévu des formations justement pour leur permettre d'acquérir cette compétence. Allons-y. S'il vous plaît. Ah, on avance? Ah, OK. Alors, quelles sont les solutions pour faire comprendre les... Vous êtes allé un peu trop vite. Peut-être pour revenir, s'il vous plaît. Revenez, s'il vous plaît. Alors, je vais aller. Alors, notre démarche ici, c'était de faire en sorte, voilà, faire comprendre les exigences du projet à tout le personnel dédié et même aussi au personnel de l'INPHB afin d'entreprendre et prendre la relève, pour leur permettre de prendre la relève dans le futur. Et la deuxième chose, c'est un leadership qui permet de susciter l'adhésion des membres de l'administration et du personnel. C'est un grand défi et je pense que la plupart des centres ici sont confrontés à cela. Comment, à travers notre démarche, nous pouvons donc faire en sorte que les uns et les autres comprennent les enjeux du projet et comment, à travers notre démarche, nous pouvons également susciter leur adhésion. Alors, nous avons proposé quelques solutions, enfin des éléments que nous avons mis en œuvre pour permettre d'apporter quelques éléments de réponse à ces deux défis. On peut avancer, s'il vous plaît. Voilà. Alors, pour le premier défi, c'est ce que j'appelle la formation à travers des séances d'explication. Chaque fois, nous avons des rencontres avec les membres du personnel ou avec les personnes de l'institution qui sont appelées à avoir un travail, à travailler de façon spécifique sur un aspect du projet. Et ça, nous sommes obligés de leur expliquer les enjeux du projet pour que ces personnes puissent prendre en main effectivement la tâche qui leur est dédiée. Il y a aussi ce que nous faisons souvent, ce sont les rencontres B2B. Quand quelqu'un a une activité précise à faire, nous avons un échange avec cette personne pour lui préciser ses tâches, lui préciser les enjeux et lui indiquer les délais que nous avons pour atteindre les objectifs. Il y a aussi la démarche qui permet de susciter l'adhésion des membres de l'administration et du personnel. Et cette démarche consiste à prendre en compte les besoins de l'institution. Par exemple, dans notre démarche, nous avons mis à la disposition de l'institution une salle fitness. C'est une salle qui est à la fois utilisée par les étudiants et le personnel. C'est le centre qui a tout financé. Nous avons réhabilité des laboratoires et cela suscite l'adhésion des chercheurs. Nous avons fait, par exemple, un don, mis en place un orchestre complet pour l'institution et les étudiants, n'est-ce pas, utilisent cela, le personnel utilise cela et quand nous avons nos manifestations, cet orchestre aujourd'hui joue pour accompagner, pour agrémenter cela. Et puis nous soutenons aussi le sport. C'est important que lorsque nous avons des activités sportives, nous avons au niveau de l'INP ce qu'on appelle le tournoi inter-école, le centre soutient cela. Et tout cela fait que nous devenons omniprésents dans l'institution. Et quand on parle de Valopro à l'INPHB, tout le monde a envie de participer à ce que Valopro fait parce que nous apportons des solutions concrètes, nous apportons des appuis concrets à l'institution. Voilà en substance ce que je voudrais dire et ce que j'ai compris de ce thème que vous m'avez proposé. Je vous remercie.
A long distance from theory to practice. I saw your first slide and I thought we need that, but how? And then you came with the good practices. So we need these good practices and to share them. Our next presenter is also a good friend, Professor Eric Nankwa from WACI, and we're changing the subject now. The subject now is university integration and financial diversification. So WACI is the West Africa Center for Crop Improvement, and is recognized as one of the leading institutions worldwide, not regional, not national, but worldwide in crop improvement. It is dedicated to training, to research in plant breeding within the continent for the benefit of Africa, but with a global, let's say, ambition, and that you can see if you. I know the center well, so I saw that with my eyes. So the center clearly has a worldwide ambition. The worst thing that happened in the life of the center was when they faced a serious challenge because they couldn't offer full scholarships, and they are used to have very, very, let's say, exceptional students, and without full scholarships, it was difficult to attract these exceptional students. So that was a difficult moment. The best moment was, and I think a lot of people know that or remember that, when in 2022 they were awarded the Africa Food Prize. So that was a moment of recognition. In the words of Professor Dankwa, it was a gratifying day. Professor, please take the stage.
Thank you very much, Luis. A very good afternoon to everyone. When a student chooses to go to Cornell or Iowa State and not come to work, my heart bleeds. One, because we are unable to offer competitive scholarships. My heart bleeds because I believe training Africans in Africa for Africa is one of the strategic moves ever formulated in this country. I'm excited to be talking about diversified financial structure and resilient communication strategy to you this afternoon. I believe what should make us worry about the future is how to give our students holistic education, which is impactful so that when they leave our centers, they become committed to us forever. That's one. Second is how to access funding for impactful research. And third is how to ensure that our faculty and staff are committed so that our center runs through them and their DNA is the centers for which they work. And all these three I've stated, you would agree with me that have implications for, of course, a diversified financial structure and a resilient communication strategy. Of course, the outcomes are what you see: long-term sustainability, resilience against external shocks, continued relevance, and of course, impact in respective fields. These are crucial to centers of excellence. Can I have the next slide, please? At WACI, we think about big ideas. In fact, let me say that we predate the African Centers of Excellence. Now we are thinking about a big idea, and today I'm sad that I've not heard endowment for African Centers of Excellence. Of course, Salim did bring points up which relates to endowments. And of course, one questioner also raised endowments. If we don't raise endowments in Africa for Africa, it's unlikely that what we run will be called Centers of Excellence. We need endowments, and we are thinking about, and we have started serious conversations, 150 million endowment, and over the past 2 months, we've been speaking at the Vatican, at the FAO in Rome, met with the Gates Foundation, Gates Act 1, and also ETH Zurich, to open conversations on how the African Centers of Excellence on genetic innovation mobilize themselves into centers that can attract this funding, because we know we can access this funding in the next couple of years. We are working hard on this strategy, and we believe that if we were to access these investments, our sustainability is guaranteed. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So that is, when you have a big idea, you that try